I look back to my early days of motherhood, and I guess I did have that inner knowing that this is going to pass quickly, and I wanted to really immerse myself in it. But then I had postpartum arthritis flare-ups, which only happened after I had babies, because even though I'd got myself into remission, the stress on my body from hormones and breastfeeding and sleepless nights, etc., triggered the autoimmune response. I actually saw a picture recently of a supermodel at the Oscars a few months ago. I can't stop thinking about this woman, this supermodel in this slinky dress, looking absolutely perfect. She'd given birth 4 weeks earlier. There are so many hobbies I want to do right now. Part of me is like, oh, we only live once. I can't put off until tomorrow what I can do today. But that, I have to recognize, is the trauma response of a person who spent her childhood and adolescence with a chronic disability. It's right here, ladies. The Recondition Your Life Academy is the only online course with a community of like-minded women that combines the healing of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual in such a comprehensive way to allow you to transform every aspect of your life from the inside out. Enrollment opens Thursday, the 5th of October, and will be open for 1 week only. So head to the link in the show notes or to laurenvaknine.co.uk/academy. And I hope to see you inside our incredible Academy community soon. Welcome back, everyone. As usual, thank you for being here. Your presence is something I am truly grateful for, because the more of us who work towards our conscious evolution, the higher we raise the vibration of the planet. And I don't know about you, but I feel like such a huge part of my education in so many areas of my life has come from podcasts. So it's just lovely to have this option, isn't it? Like, you can drive and learn something amazing, or walk and be totally inspired, or work out and listen to something that changes you. I think it's pretty epic. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. I am Lauren Vaknine. This is the Recondition podcast, and it came about following my journey to healing myself from the arthritis I'd had since I was 2. I wanted to create a hub for all things related to wellness and inner growth, not just niche stuff. So that's why Reconditioned is here. I run an incredible online academy called the Recondition Your Life Academy, which is not so much a course, it's more a lifestyle. But with every single topic you'll ever need to heal your whole internal and external life, all in one place. And you do it over the course of time, and you do it with the support of the academy members, and you have lifetime access once you're in. So it's a really beautiful place to be if you're working on your conscious evolution. I only open it for enrollment 3 times a year, so head to my website, laurenvaknine.co.uk/academy to get your name on the waiting list. I also have other courses. We've recently launched our Purpose membership, so if you are seeking community and mentorship, that one is for you. That is for the very affordable price of £35 a month, so you can check that out on the website as well. And I have no idea as I record this if this will be launched yet, because we batch a lot of these. But do check out if I have yet released my very exciting Female Entrepreneur Academy. If you are in business and you want to find a more sustainable way to run your business, to become successful, to work on the energetics of money, to know how to practically run your small business as someone who is a female, this is for you. It is epic. It's something I've been wanting to create for a long time. So do check that out as well. Something that has always been a bit of a challenge for me, and I know it is to most people I speak to, is fitting in the time for all the spiritual and self-development practices I want to do. You know, I'd like to meditate and do breath work and yoga and walk in nature and connect with my guides and journaling and so much more, all the things every day. But we can't do all the things every day. I'm a mum, I run a business, and even as someone who really does put this stuff first, it's pretty impossible to fit it all in. So the one thing that's really helped me over the past year is the SENSATE. It is a piece of health tech that fits in the palm of your hand, and it basically sends infrasonic waves through the chest to activate the vagus nerve and calm the autonomic nervous system. And you use it while playing the specially composed audio within the app. It's actually pretty genius. And honestly, at the moment, with my days being more full on than they've ever been, using the SENSATE is really the one thing that I know will work on so many aspects of my well-being at once. So even if I haven't had time to do any other practices during the day, I lie down at night and I use the SENSATE for 10 to 20 minutes before I sleep. And it reduces cortisol levels, it calms my brainwave states, it gives me great optimized sleep, it calms anxiety, and because of how it activates the vagus nerve, it deepens my meditation. So I can kind of do all that in one go. And I also take it everywhere with me. So if I've got 10 minutes in the car while I'm waiting for the school gates to open, I can just do it then without the pressure of knowing that meditation would be a bit challenging when I'm probably in heightened brainwave states at that point. So for me, generally, it's been pretty life-changing. And if what I spoke about resonates with you at all, you can get £30 off the SENSATE by visiting getsensate.com and using code Lauren30. That's GETSENSATE.com, Lauren30. Thank you so much to SENSATE for supporting our mission here at Reconditioned. So this episode, I know if you're a mum, you're listening to this thinking, just give me that permission I need to be in acceptance. And even if you're not a parent, maybe you're in a super busy time of building a business and that's where you need to be. Or maybe it's the opposite and the season of life you're being called to embrace is one of rest. I'm a big believer that we need to listen to that intuitive pull and go with where it's taking us. That being said, I'm definitely being called to live in some commune in Costa Rica with no work, and that ain't happening right now. But what prompted me to do this episode, well, it's very similar to a recent Rise episode I did about taking the overwhelm out of your spiritual and growth practices. But as I was preparing the episode, I realized that really they're two different things and they both deserve their own airtime and attention. So this one is really just about how we can be so hard on ourselves, pressuring ourselves so much to be everything all the time. And actually, life isn't like that. Life from the beginning of time on this planet, as far as we're aware anyway, is all about ebbs and flows. It comes in seasons. And just because we notice 4 seasons to a year doesn't mean there aren't very real other seasons happening energetically. A woman's menstrual cycle, for example, has 4 seasons within 1 month. And your life will be split into different seasons as well. So I'd like you to think, what season of life are you in right now? Is it a season of creation, a season of mothering, of studying, of resting, of opening up to new things like places and hobbies? Maybe it's a season of healing or rest, or maybe it's a season of doing. And it's okay to be in a season of doing, because at some point nature will come along and balance out that masculine energy of doing when it calls you towards a season of being. I think we suffer most when we don't pay attention to where our higher self is leading us and directing us at that point. My shaman Don Javier always says, choose the path with heart. And there are so many ways you can interpret that. It doesn't just mean the most spiritual route. For lack of a better term, sometimes your heart, your inner knowing, is guiding you to be in deep creation mode. Maybe the creation of a business that takes a lot of hard work and hustle to get it going. And if that's really where your heart is leading you, that's the path with heart. The issue I see that we come across is when we fight against the path with heart, the path our higher self is leading us to, because we want to be and do more. The advice I get asked for probably more than anything else is supplements. Where do I get my high quality supplements? I am so particular about my supplements and I research every single ingredient, right down to what the capsule shell is made of, which is why my clients trust my recommendations so much. Now, because I'm super picky, I get all my supplements from AMRITA Nutrition, and I found them about a decade ago because they were the only UK stockist to stock Seeking Health products, which were developed specifically for MTHFR. And I've stayed with them ever since because they literally stock the absolute highest quality brands from all over the world, like Moss Nutrition, Quicksilver, Apex, and so many others that I love. And I know that anything I get from them is going to be the utmost highest quality. They also offer personal support at every stage from their customer care team and in-house nutritional practitioners. So you can order using practitioner invite code Lauren, which will get you 10% off all supplements, which will be applied to every order once you've set up an account. And you can also create your own protocols once you've set up an account, which is pretty cool. And I've gone ahead and created a collection of all my favorite supplements with Amrita, which you can find in the show notes or on my website. Otherwise, just visit amritanutrition.co.uk and don't forget to use code Lauren for 10% off. Thank you so much to Amrita for supporting our mission here at Reconditioned. So let's talk about the season of early motherhood, for example. So I recently had one of my Academy members go through the Divine Feminine module and literally cry and have to have loads of integration time around her feelings about how she managed early motherhood. She said that she was so conditioned by the whole mums who do it all thing that she was just focused on getting back to the gym and just doing, being the mum who quote unquote smashes it, the mum who copes. That now she realizes she lost that sacred time in connecting with her children when they were babies. We've gone through some deep healing around that, and she can now heal from that, which is the kind of thing we do in the Academy. So this is no reflection on her or any of us who made decisions that later on we wish we didn't. This is about hopefully getting this across to people before they get into that situation, to help us be content with where we are at the moment. I look back to my early days of motherhood and I guess I did have that inner knowing that this is going to pass quickly and I wanted to really immerse myself in it. But then I had postpartum arthritis flare-ups, which only happened after I had babies because even though I'd got myself into remission, the stress on my body from hormones and breastfeeding and sleepless nights, etc., triggered the autoimmune response. And with my son, it lasted for 10 months. And with my daughter, it lasted 5 months. And each of those times was hard in a different way. So with my son, I just wanted to be the new mum who went to meet friends for coffee with her baby and go for long walks with the dog and the baby and keep up my health food blog cooking things with the baby in the sling. And I couldn't do any of it. And I felt like the experience of early motherhood that I wanted was taken away from me. So it made it so hard to be present in that season of my life because I was in pain and I was frustrated. And with my daughter, I really believed it wouldn't happen, that I wouldn't get a flare up that time. I was so into my wellness and I had done all the things and I really was in that space. So I didn't think it would happen. And when it did, I had a toddler to think of too. So there was that added layer. But for whatever reason, that was the season I was in. And had I been able to just soften into it a bit more, it would have been easier on me. I actually saw a picture recently of a supermodel at the Oscars a few months ago. You might know who I'm referring to. I'm not going to name any names because I don't believe in naming or shaming. But I can't stop thinking about this woman, this supermodel in this slinky dress looking absolutely perfect. She'd given birth 4 weeks earlier. I cannot actually get it out of my head because I wonder how much of her is allowing herself to be present in early motherhood. And not to mention the message it sends to mums who are a month postpartum, just about able to make themselves a cup of tea and a sandwich. And that's another thing. When we're in that stage of life, we want to cook and we want to eat well and we want to exercise and meditate and all the things. And actually, though, of course, it's still important that we honor our bodies as much as we can, those early days of motherhood are actually an invitation to soften into acceptance and give ourselves the permission to let those things slide a bit. I wish I'd done that more. I drove myself mad. Another example I'll give is the season of life I'm in now, which is very much a masculine doing season. My kids are 7 and 4. They go to school over 7 miles from our house, and I'm the only one who can do the school run. And my business has never been busier. I have the academy, the podcast, the 12-month mentorship clients, content creation, the memberships, writing. So much goes into this business I've created to help people heal. And at the same time, I want to have my own life and I want to do heaps of exercise and do my own healing. And I also want to take up some hobbies, but I can't do it all because I'm one person and I will crash and burn. And actually a few months ago, I did. And I had to take 5 days in bed to recover. I listened, I recovered, and I did that by using infrared saunas and red light therapy, methylated vitamins, zinc, vitamin C and D. I used the SENSATE for calming my body. And I started using the Healy actually to clear my bioenergetic field. And slowly I got out of the crash. But what it taught me was that we just can't do it all. There are so many hobbies I want to do right now. Part of me is like, oh, we only live once. I can't put off until tomorrow what I can do today. But that, I have to recognize, is the trauma response of a person who spent her childhood and adolescence with a chronic disability. And the need to want to do everything I can when my body works is a trauma response. And I need to be in recognition of that. So have a think about which behaviors of yours are trauma responses. For example, I've got a client who's a very talented artist, but she had a really traumatic childhood, and her trauma response now is to do no art, to not follow her dreams or pursue anything in any way, and instead focus all her attention completely on her children for fear that if she does her art, she'll disappoint or won't be accepted and loved like she wasn't as a child. So have a think about how your trauma responses could be determining how you manage the season of life you're in, because that will help. The point of all this is to say that when we look back, it's easy to say, I wish I would have been more present in that time. So let's try and do it in the moment. It's like the sacred time of being single and getting that incredible opportunity to know and be with yourself. How many of us in that season of our life actually did that, actually were like, wow, this is such a sacred, beautiful time. And I know I'm going to find a better energetic match when I do meet someone because I'm going to be more in my authenticity if I spend this time healing and getting to know myself. So let's be present in the energy of that. And the early days of motherhood, can we just melt into the isness of all that offers us, so we can say 10 years later that we were fully immersed and there, regardless of how hard it was. Or the first years of a new business. If it's a passion project, we should feel grateful to be doing it and that we're following our passion. Can we just be okay with the work that needs to go into that? And even with not making as much money as we'd like while we build, there are actually so many merits to being present in this time. When we do get super busy and everyone wants a piece of you, you'll look back on those times you spent alone at your kitchen table building your business really fondly. Now, quick caveat there, this isn't permission to step away from self-care and stay up until 2 a.m. working. Your growth practices should still be prioritized where they can while you work hard and maintain some balance. And then maybe on the flip side, you're in a transition period. Maybe you're taking the time between jobs, or like a lot of my clients, maybe you're healing from disease or trauma. And maybe you're being invited to stop working altogether and spend your days focusing on your healing and spiritual development. So many people have guilt around this, but if your higher self has led you there, it's for a reason. And then maybe your season right now is the other side of your children starting to leave home, and it's a time you can think about what you want to do for you. My mum's 68, and for the first time ever, she's just started art classes, which I was just, nudging her to do for ages because I wanted her to do something that was purely for her. She's lived her whole life in service to others, raising a sick child and another child and a husband who comes from a very different time and place. Literally, my dad was born in the 40s in Morocco. They are a specific breed. And then still having to work, and she still works 3 days a week. But on her days off, she now goes swimming and does an art class. And honestly, it was so foreign to her, the idea of using that time to do anything other than house chores, or at the very most meeting a friend for lunch, that it really took some goading from me. But where are you? What season of life are you in that you could start embracing more? And I feel like these seasons can be related to more inconsequential things as well, like what we feel like doing socially, what we're listening to, what we're reading, or even what we're eating. And even those things should be honored. I'm really very much like this when it comes to books and podcasts. Sometimes I just want to read fiction, and then all of a sudden I've had enough with fiction and I just want to be immersed in business books and podcasts that talk about business. And then I'm done with that. I'm just not in that space, doesn't do anything for me, and I'll go to a spiritual book and spiritual podcasts because I'm very there at that time. And then I've kind of had enough of that and I go to something completely different. Sometimes I also just want to listen to podcasts that aren't teaching me anything and are just fun and easy to listen to. Sometimes I want to be busy and socialize, and sometimes I just don't want to leave the house. I believe that's my higher self translating to me what my bioenergetic field needs at that moment. And can I just listen deeply to that calling and honor it? So once again, I invite you to feel into which season of life you're in right now and ask what you need to do in order to start being okay with it. And a great way to do this is an exercise I always set for my Academy members. It's called, What is your story? So what you do is you take a new page in your journal and you write about this time from the perspective of the you in 5 years from now, in a way that you would want to look back on this time in order to encourage you to live like that now. So for example, when I look back on my early days of motherhood, they were hard. It was all consuming. And even though part of me wanted to find childcare to get to the gym and spend time working, and I miss my social life, when I look back on it now, I can see how fast it passes. And I'm so glad I didn't do all of that. Did I lose my baby weight instantly? No, it took me years. But who cares? I can look back on that time and be so grateful that I made a decision to be present in that sacred time, that was a time that I'll never get back. Or the same in business, you can say something along the lines of, I was working from my dining room table, hustling, working as much as I could, in between picking up the kids from school and doing yada, yada, yada. And it was hard and it felt like it wasn't going to work at times, but I persevered. And now here I am earning yada, 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 living the life of my dreams. So those are just examples, but relate them to whichever aspect of your life works for you. And hopefully you can see from this that what it does is give you that drive, that impetus, that desire to be present in what you're experiencing in the now. When you think about any situation in your life from the perspective of you in 5 years, you'll know how you want to manage that situation. Okay, my friends, thank you for being here. As usual, if you enjoyed this episode, please share this or any other episode you've enjoyed. I put a lot of time and resources and money into producing this podcast. And when you share it, it's your way of paying that forward because it helps us to reach more and more people on their own conscious evolution.